Just a moment. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I have with me another very special guest. He is a master of mindset. He is a psychic as well as an attraction and relationship coach. Am I getting any of those titles wrong?
I'm a master mindset coach, a law of attraction expert, and a psychic. Yes.
Yes. So, welcome, Ed Langan. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. I'm happy to be here. Looking forward to talking with you.
Yeah, me as well. So, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, about your journey? You can start maybe with a master of mindset. I've never heard of this term till today, and now I'm intrigued. Yeah.
Okay, good, great. I'm happy to talk about that. We have been programmed. When we come in, when we're born, from age 0 to 7, we're sponges and we're absorbing everything around us. We're absorbing from our parents, from our teachers, from our siblings, from television, from school, we're absorbing all of that information because our minds are wide open. We're in the theta wave of, I don't know if you know the different brain waves, but we're in theta. So we're wide open and we're absorbing all of that. And that becomes our subconscious program.
Sorry, can you explain what the theta wave is exactly?
Yes. So there are frequencies, there are wavelengths in your brain. So right now, you and I are in beta waves because we're awake, we're functioning, and we're doing things. The next level down below that is the alpha waves. Alpha waves are light focused and meditation. So if you're reading, if you're listening to certain music, you'd be meditating, you're in an alpha wave. Theta is the next one below that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then delta is down into sleep. And then there's gamma, which is the highest and the fastest. So the monks who are very, very good at meditating, they go into gamma waves and have real control. They have the ability to reshape their brains, etc. And we all have that ability. So when we're children, we're in theta and we're absorbing all of this information, and then that becomes our subconscious programming. Now you've probably heard about the subconscious and how much that 95% of everything that we're doing is from our subconscious. Well, if your subconscious has been programmed for you to just sort of go along, not to succeed, not to create what you want, and you don't do anything about it, you're not going to have, more than likely, you're probably not going to have the best experience. So the work that I do is I help people go in and uncover those unconscious, hidden, limiting beliefs and help them shift them, which has a big impact in their life, in their business, and helps them change. So that's sort of the long and short of the mindset coach.
Yeah. Master of mindset. So is there a kind of scientific portion to it? Is there a utilization of tools, like concrete scientific tools in that process?
I'm sure. Well, hypnosis is part of that. I'm sure that I'm not a scientist, so I really can't speak to the science of it. But I know there are people like Dr. Bruce Lipton who is doing that kind of work, who is helping people. Dr. Joe Dispenza. So there is some, but I don't have the
Okay. Okay, so moving on.
Sure.
Yeah. But seriously, folks, so take me through the process of treatment with a patient that comes to you and says, I don't know, I can't focus on my work and I'm always stressed and my house, my home life is a mess. what do I do to sort of take myself out of the alpha, shall we say, I don't know, existence, the menial and the monotonous kind of existence into maybe not the gamma wave, but maybe the theta wave. Yeah. How
Okay,
do I
well,
do that?
so
Sorry. From the theta wave
right,
to the beta, shall we say?
right. Right. Well, your brain moves through those waves automatically. But what I do is I'm going to tell you a story about one of my clients. He had been in business and is still in business for about 20 years. He was very, very good at what he does, but he felt that he should be better.
Mm.
And, everybody can rise to the level, they see the cream rises to the top. So
Yes.
We went through my mindset breakthrough method, which is one of the programs that I teach, and we helped him uncover something. When he was in grade school, all the way grade school through high school, he was severely bullied, and he sort of suppressed that and pushed that down into his subconscious. And 20 years later, when we started doing work about uncovering beliefs and finding out what your programming is, we had that come to the surface, and he didn't realize that that was holding him back because he had a fear of putting himself out there because of the experience of the bullying. So the subconscious mind was affecting what he was doing, and he didn't realize that. So we uncovered that. I gave him some techniques to work on to help him shift and change that. And almost immediately he had a successful, more success in his business, more clients, more money, etc.
Mm.
So meditation is a really good tool, and there are a bunch of other tools that I use to help people shift and get past the limiting beliefs.
Yeah. So I see the more you talk, I can see that maybe there are kind of psychological elements or psychological sort of methods that are similar, like to psychology.
Yes.
So is it like, the Freudian kind of method of spilling your gut on the couch, or is it more akin to a life coach sitting down and trying to, I don't know, note all the different kind of goals you're trying to achieve in life? What is more akin to your work?
I'm more like a life coach. I am not a psychologist, so I don't have a medical background. So no, not a psychologist, more towards a life coach, but I have specific, I don't want to call them tests, but work that we go through where I have a list of statements, and they read through the list of statements, and any of them that sort of resonate with them, they check off. And then we look at that and say, okay, you've checked off all of these about these particular beliefs, or and then we work from there, and we start working on those beliefs and shifting the beliefs. It really is the inner game, not the outer game. So most people are trying to change from out here, and the change has to start in here. It's about what you tell yourself. It's about what you've been programmed. The Buddha said in the 6th century, you become what you think about. So that's really the inner
6th century BC, of course.
Correct. Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Just a caveat for all those watching.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. 6th century BC. And he said, you become what you think about. Now, there has been a lot of books written about that in the early 1920s. Think and Grow Rich, As a Man Thinketh, The Power of Mind, The Strangest Secret. So this is not new information, but the world isn't necessarily teaching this. When we go to school, this isn't anything we learn. They don't teach us anything about self-esteem, any of that. So that's really where my work is.
Yeah, that is something I can resonate with when you start talking about we are socialized in a certain way. There are themes that are running through the Western society that doesn't exist in other societies, and we are learning to oppress our kind of feral nature and try to adopt a kind of veneer that doesn't befit us, shall we say. So
Yeah.
how do we try to chip away at that veneer that was bestowed upon us when we were only little kids and didn't know anything? Didn't know that it's a hole from the ground. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. And a lot of what we were taught is very helpful, but some of it isn't helpful. And what we do is we start to create a loop. So if someone repeatedly told us, and this is an extreme example, but let's say you had an adult in your life telling you that you were no good and kept telling you you're no good, you can't do anything right, you're no good. Eventually, you start to say that yourself and you start to take that on yourself. So one of the things that I work with, that I help people do, is I ask them to listen to the things that they tell themselves, and when the negative voice comes up, see if you can't take a breath and pause and ask, whose voice is that?
Mm.
Because it's not yours, and you're going to recognize, is that my mother, is that my father, is that the school teacher, is that the principal, is that, you'll recognize whose voice that is, and you'll realize that it's not yours.
Mm.
And then once you have that realization, now we can start working on shifting it.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are the different kind of philosophies that influenced you in particular when you studied this subject, this profession? What struck you the most while researching and preparing and doing all kinds of things in order to?
The biggest effect on me is when I started studying law of attraction. That was the biggest thing. That just made sense to me. That's when things really clicked, because I was already understanding that your thoughts create. And then when you understand that there is an energetic mechanism, a spiritual part of you that is also connected to that, that's when things start to change, because it is the inner game. And if athletes now, the Olympics are going on, and we know that athletes before the Olympics, they visualize their events, they
Yes.
visualize how
Yes.
they're going to play, what they do. And the thought that came to me is, well, why don't we do that for our life? If you want a new house, why aren't you visualizing what it would be like to have the new house? If you want to go on a vacation to Hawaii or wherever it might be, why aren't you visualizing that? If you want to do better, if you want to close more sales, if you want it, whatever it is that you want to do, if you're going to make a speech, if you're going to make a podcast, why aren't you? And that's really where it started for me, is how do I use the law of attraction? How do I put this into practice? And that's
Yeah.
been my work.
Yeah. So what types of kind of laws or subjects within the subcontinent of the mind that is the law of attraction? What does the law of attraction really means?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so the law of attraction is simply this: things that are similar or the same are attracted to each other. Now, we have moments every day where we're attracting things, and a lot of people just say, oh, that's a coincidence. So, for example, and this has happened to everybody, you're thinking about your friend, you're thinking about your friend, you're thinking about your friend, your phone rings, and it's your friend. Wow, no,
It's
that's
the
the law of
bank.
attraction. Right. That's the law of attraction. You did that. Or if you're humming your favorite song, and you turn on the radio and the song is playing, you did that. And once you start to connect and realize that you are creating your own life, that the energy that you're putting out is being matched, that's when you start to realize that you're creating your own reality. Now, my work, part of my work, my mission is I believe that everybody deserves to know that they create their own reality.
Mm.
And once you understand that you have much more of a hand in this and that you're creating, you're no longer a victim.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So much of what we're taught and so much of what we're programmed is to take our power away. So this is taking your power back and saying, no, wait, I have a hand in this. I am creating this.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of philosophies and philosophers, especially in the West, talk about being your own writer, like George Washington or Abraham Lincoln, or or Shakespeare or Dante Alighieri, trying to be their own person, to be a representative, being better than themselves. And I think being better than yourself means that you're automatically almost like, thrashing the competition in the gladiatory games or whatever this existence wants to tell us it is, or tries to conceal its true nature. But putting that aside, what the law of attraction really means for our lives. If we try to summon the forces of the universe to harness them for our good. So what does that mean to our lives?
Okay, so the way I like to explain it is I like to tell folks that your life is a mirror.
Mm.
And what you're sending out is being reflected back to you. And most people are looking at the mirror and reacting to what they see rather than changing who they are, which changes what they see in the mirror. Okay, you can't change the reflection from the reflection. You have to change you, which changes the reflection. So that's like getting up in the morning. Now you and I are guys, but if you were someone who put on makeup and putting the makeup on the mirror and thinking it's on your face. Now, for us, that's like putting the shaving cream on the mirror and thinking it's on our face. It's not, it's on the mirror. Now, there are two things that you can control in your life, and only two things. And that's what you think and how you react. And if you're spending all of your time reacting to what you're seeing in the mirror, you're just going to get more of that. You're not taking the time to work on the inner game. You're not taking the time to focus your thoughts, to think about what am I sending out and what's being reflected back to me. Most people are just sort of on autopilot, sort of asleep, going through their day, going, some days are good, some days are bad, and I don't know what's going on here. And what they're doing is they're just giving their power away.
Yeah, that's true. But I want to argue with you about the point of we have control in our lives, because, as a psychic, I haven't gotten to that part with you, but we will, I'm sure. Just to clarify, I think that even our thoughts are shaped by the society, by our family, by our immediate environment, our workplace, our careers, our ambitions, dreams. Our dreams are shaped, our dreams are thoughts, yeah. Dreams are kind of the, unconscious thought, I think. So would you say if we summon the forces of the universe in awakened state, what can happen in the kind of dream world? What is the dream world in your opinion, and the visualization, the power of now, for a lack of better word? What do you think is affecting our lives, essentially, our thoughts, or the society, and what it kind of wants us to do, and dictates our daily order, what we eat, who we
Sure.
speak with, what we drink.
Right.
We don't think about those things. But
Right. Well, for most people, it's some of both. Now, society did not tell you to make a podcast. Something inside of you said, "Oh, I think this will be fun. I think I'll enjoy this." So that came from within you. Now, I'm going to tell you a story. Recently, Prince Harry and his wife Meghan Markle
yeah,
were on the
divorce.
Oprah show, right? And
Yeah.
the world got to see that. And one of the comments that the people who weren't in the United States made is, "Wow, there's a load of pharmaceutical drug commercials on TV all the time in the US. Is that normal?" And we're like, yeah, that's normal. So that is definitely having an effect on society, because if they're still sort of sleeping and not paying attention to what they're putting in,
Yeah.
then yeah, that's certainly going to have an effect. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but years ago, when computers first started coming out, one of the things that they used to say all the time is garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah. I
So
heard
if
that.
you're, that's familiar, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're not paying attention to what you're, well, for lack of a better word, say consuming, it's certainly having an effect on you. And if you're just living on autopilot and sort of blindly going along with that, then yeah, you're being indoctrinated, you're being programmed, you're being, I don't like to use this word, but you're being controlled.
Mm.
So it's a
Yeah.
matter of taking your power back and understanding that you're a creative being. Now, in my spiritual understanding, we've been told that we are created in the image of God.
Mm.
And God's mind creates. So
Yes.
I'm not saying that we're God and we have that kind of power or anything like that, but there has to be some sort of creative mechanism within us to help us create, right? Something inside of you said, "Oh, I think a podcast would be fun. I think that's something
Yes.
I would enjoy." So that was a spark of creation.
Yeah. The spark of creation, yeah, it's a very Kabbalistic term. It is literally a Kabbalistic term, but we can delve into that if you want. There are this is sorry the Hindu kind of tradition talks about like the cycles of creation and destruction. And we're now living in something that is called cycle of destruction. That is the Kali Yuga. I had a German accent for some reason. The Kali Yuga. Yes, maybe because I thought about the Carl Gustav Jung. Yeah. So, what do you think about the cycles of creation and destruction in our own lives, how they manifest, and all the things that we were inducted into, initiated?
Yes. Yeah. Well, the only consistent thing in our lives is change.
Mm.
And everything that we experience is a form of renewal. So a tree grows, it gets full size, it dies, and new trees grow. So the interesting thing is the word apocalypse actually means new beginning. And again, we weren't indoctrinated to believe that. We were indoctrinated to believe that apocalypse means the end and everything gets destroyed and everything, but it simply means a new beginning. So we are in the process of evolving. We're in the process of changing. We're in the process of becoming more, of understanding who we really are. And the interesting thing about humans, and this is true for myself and for everybody, is when everything is going along fine and smooth sailing and good, we really don't learn much. But when things get challenging and things get messy and things get hard, that's when we focus and that's when we learn and grow. So we are in a time where, yes, there is destruction, there is that, but it's also time for us to pay attention. It's time for us to focus. It's time for us to decide, how do we want this to be for our children and for our grandchildren? How do we work together? How do we help people? How do we, rather than just say everything's going to blow up and there's nothing we can do about it? Well, there's plenty we can do about it.
So how do you quantify your choices in the future, not based on what society tries to dictate and what your parents and your family and everything you were taught in school, everything you were taught in university, and so on and so forth? How do you break the chains that bind you to this kind of, cultural oppression, shall we say?
Mm-hmm. Well, I have been meditating now just about every single day for well over 40 years. So one of the things that I suggest is that people start meditating. It's been fascinating to me that one half of the world, meditation is really, really important.
Yeah,
and the half of the world that I live on, it's not so important, but it's getting better. That has always been very interesting to me. And it's about deciding what you're going to consume, deciding what you're going to choose. There is spin about everything. And we look at the media and we don't know what's true and what's not true. We don't. So it's now up to the individual to choose, what are you going to consume? What are you going to put into your experience? What are you going to believe? And what are you blindly believing? And is it serving you? And those are tough questions, because that's when your life really starts to change. Because most of us, as we said, have been taught to go along. But when you stop and say, okay, let's look at this. What does this really mean? What an effect does it have on your life? And then you change it, you start to work on it. That's when real change starts to happen. But that's not necessarily an easy thing to do. That's why there's folks like me, and there's plenty of other people out there who are willing to help people do that.
Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes, which is how I try to live my life, is try not to become a person of success, try to become a person of value. And Albert Einstein said that. And I've always tried to live my life to be of value rather than to chase success. But our society teaches us to chase success.
Yeah. Being a person of value, it's very, it's a very trying times for people who are trying to be persons of values, shall we say. Those are very trying times. And I'm thinking of a metaphor about the Buddha being tried in the desert. Maybe it's not exactly a desert. It was a forest. Well, at least in the story, it was a forest. But because I'm thinking also of the temptations of Jesus in the desert.
Right.
So I'm equating that. So when he's tempted by the god of desire and passions, Mara, the great fearsome god, who tempted a lot of kings, also Indian kings, which the Western society knows nothing about, absolutely nothing. I'm from the Levant, shall we say, so I know a little bit about the Eastern society, because the Jews are kind of a Ashkenazi or Sephardic, and that's the partition, the major partition.
Right.
But I'm also half and half, so that helps. So what do you think about meditation being introduced into the Western society, and what do you think the benefits are for meditation in the modern world, shall we say, the post-modern world? Yeah.
Right. Well, when I was 19 years old, I had a hurricane going on in my mind all the time. My thoughts were just all the time. And someone suggested that I try meditation simply to calm down, simply to settle into um, a calmer state. And that's when I started. And that's when I started working on meditation. And besides the, excuse me, besides the spiritual part of it, where you have the ability to connect deep within your soul and connect to that, there is in the Western world, there's a lot of about better for blood pressure, better for heart, better for your body, better for your mind, less anxiety, less stress. So there's all of that that's added to it. So even if you're not doing it as a spiritual practice, the act of doing it is going to help your body feel better. It's going to help your mind calm down. It's going to help you be more connected, less stress, etc. So for those reasons alone, it's a good thing to do. And then there is a spiritual aspect to it if you want to go in deeper and connect with the whole of you and who you really are.
Yeah. So moving on, what are some of the psychic abilities you were able to perform, or psychic feats, shall we say, that you were able to perform, that it's like a, you know, a superhero creation myth, yeah, when a Kal-El swooshed down into Earth on a meteorite after having his home planet destroyed. So what is your kind of inception comic book hero story or background?
Well, I had psychic experiences when I was a kid, and I pushed them away. They scared me, and I pushed them away. Now, excuse me, I want to be clear here. I am a psychic channel, so I allow wisdom and guidance to flow through me so that I'm able to speak it. I am not a fortune teller. I don't, the guides will not let me take away anybody's free will. And if I tell you that 6 months from now, this is going to happen, and you believe me, I've taken away your free will, because in every moment you have a choice, and you have the ability to shift and decide, and your energy can change. So that's the first thing that I want to say. It started when I was a musician. That's when it really started. I was able to play my guitar and go away, sort of get out of the way, and the music would flow through me. Okay. And I was sort of in a trance, in an altered state. Now, I didn't understand that.
Bob Dylan going like this, yeah.
Right. And so years later, I was watching the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame show, and Eric Clapton was talking about Stevie Ray Vaughan and said he was always a wide open channel that allowed them. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Wow.
Because as I got older, it started to form into my voice and be able to speak wisdom that flowed through me. So that's where it came. I've had other psychic experiences. I've heard things, I've seen things, I've seen shadow figures. I've had all of that too. But my belief is that everybody is a psychic, that everybody has the ability. It's just some people are more aware of it and more awake of it, and some people suppress it more. Now, as far as channeling is concerned, you have a situation in front of you where you need to come up with a solution, and you're thinking and you're thinking, and all of a sudden you have this aha that flows through you, and you go, that's the answer. Yes. Well, where do you think that came from? Now, there are people who are going to say, oh, that was all me. I'm that smart. I figured it out. And we say, well, maybe, but maybe your guides, maybe your angels, whatever you want to call them, gave you a little hint, gave you a little push, because everybody is a psychic. Everybody has the ability to connect to that.
Okay. So in the Jewish tradition, there are beliefs in ghosts and kind of higher beings that project, or like, I don't want to say which religion is it, but there was an angel that came to a person a human
Right.
being in a cave, like the myth of Plato.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
he gave him some scriptures, shall we say, and he
Okay.
did not know how to read or write, and I will leave it at that. Um, so, so who are those kind of higher beings that visit Earth and give or channel wisdom through human beings? Who do you think
Well,
they are?
so there are the traditional ones that everybody knows about, the Christ, the Buddha, the angels, the archangels, the ascended masters,
Yeah.
all of those traditional ones. You have access to some of your family members and friends who have also
Mm,
um, passed, and all of that has an effect on you. Now, what you also can do is you can ask for help. You can ask for specific. Now, here's an example. I had heard that you can ask certain people to come in. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Now, Jimi Hendrix was a fantastic guitar player. And I do not play like Jimi Hendrix. I like rock and
no
roll, but
one
he's not.
does. Yeah.
Not yeah, exactly. No one does. Right. So what I did was I thought, well, this would be interesting. Let me call in and see if I can get the essence of him within me. And I did. And I wrote a song that sounds very much like something Jimi
Yeah.
Hendrix
Yeah.
would have wrote. And it's completely different
Nice.
from anything that I would do. Now, in the US, it's very common for people to say, channel your inner this or channel your inner that, and they're actually saying it without realizing that, yes, you actually can do that.
Yeah. So, what are the kind of, let's say, spooky kind of incidents you had with a psychistry, or I don't have a better name, so
Sure,
I
that's fine.
made
That's
I
fine.
made made up one. I think psychistry is a nice term. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Um, I had a digital clock blink at me. I was asking questions and it blinked at me. And when I got to the
Whoa.
clock and opened the back of it, the batteries were dead and all corroded. And somehow there was something that flashed through the clock. I saw a shadow figure in my house, and it scared the daylights out of me. And I went to speak to a medium about it, and they said it was your brother.
Whoa.
And then the scariness went away. I have been touched. I had a dream. My grandfather had passed, and I had a great dream where I was talking with my grandfather, and he reached out and shook my hand.
Mm.
And I woke up sitting up in bed with my hand extended, and I felt his hand. And that's when I woke up. So
Wow.
things like that, I've had those kind of experiences and
Yeah.
others. Nothing that I consider real scary anymore. That when I saw the shadow figure, that scared me at first till I understood it was my brother. And then it's not so
Yeah.
scary. I was happy to see my brother.
Yes. As how are you? Yes. How are
Yeah,
you,
exactly,
shadowy
exactly.
figure?
What? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Just show up to I'm still here. I'm fine, and everything's okay.
Well, yeah. So I was gone there for a moment. Yeah, I
Yep.
had a H.P. Lovecraft moment, like your life seems to be. Um, have you ever read some of the Necronomicons of the
I
H.P.
I have
Lovecraft?
not. No, no,
Oh,
I
yeah.
haven't.
It's bad literature, but it has its moments,
Sure.
of brilliancy. Yeah. So, what do you think about interplanetary beings that come down to Earth to try to influence a government and try to influence people to worship them as cults? What do you think about that idea?
Um, well, as far as extraterrestrials are concerned, with the billions and billions of planets out there, there has to be
Mm.
You know, we can't be the only life. That's a mathematical impossibility. Are they coming and trying to affect people? And I don't know. I don't have any real experience with
Yeah,
extraterrestrials.
that's
So
stretching it too much. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So I think we had a nice conversation.
yes,
Very, very, I don't know if fertilizing is the wrong
sure,
term,
sure.
but I'll say fertilizing. Yeah, I'll use a biological term to talk about a social subject. Um, but I want to thank you so much.
Well,
It's
thank you.
been a pleasure.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, I've enjoyed it, and that one of the things I love about podcasts and all that is we get to talk to people all over the world, which
yeah,
is
me too.
wonderful, wonderful.
I like
I
it.
do,
Yeah,
I do too. I do want to let your listeners know that there is a free PDF for them on my website. I'm sure Guy is going to put all the links there,
yeah.
but it's edwardlangan.com/mindset, and it's mindset shifts, 10 mindset tweaks to help you raise your income. So anybody who's interested in that, that's free for
Mm.
you. And thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I've
thank you
really
so
enjoyed
much. Yeah,
speaking to you, and I look forward to seeing you again in the future.
yeah, of course. I'm looking forward to talking with you. I'm sure we'll have a lot of subject to cover because this is not a, I don't know, a 50-minute conversation. It takes a long time. Yeah, takes a
Sure,
long
sure,
time, especially because I'm not bragging because there are a lot of people who are academics and also among them. And I like the scientific kind of method, even though I hail from the humanities, not the
sure.
science. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Guy. Take
Yeah,
care.
bye. Thank you so
Bye.
much for watching. Bye.